Okay, I think we can get the ball rolling here as other people continue to join us. In the interest of time, we're going to get started. As well, as always, I want to thank everybody for being here today, for joining us on our 22nd week, on this journey and in this endeavor. We had an we obviously all know we have kicked off this additional Afghan program, which last week we saw we introduced to you all the Moji Siddiqui, who is leading that program. But as a result of that program, we're really seeing breakthroughs in housing. We kicked off the soccer program. We have placed an order here for iPads that should be delivered sometime around the 15th for families. But it's opened the doors to a lot more other opportunities that we're seeing. But where we are now is at that crucial point, and the reason I speak about the Afghan program is that we need to start thinking post-resettlement of the Afghans, where several of them have gone past that 90 days resettlement period. And really the next phase is really integrating them into this community and creating opportunities or pathways for them to succeed. And in that context, that Afghan program is one way, but there are several other programs that we have at the International Institute that we hope to share more information and get more participation and support from our community partners in ensuring that we are successful. And we want to do this really by being transparent, by providing as much information as possible to the community so that we can work together and we can succeed together. In the light of that, we are looking at really trying to focus on education here. Our arrivals have significant number of them in that age group of school age group 1. But also one of the things that we do is going through an assessment of their educational levels and trying to figure out how we can support them to have the tools and skill sets that will enable them to get integrated in society and get into the workforce and all of that. So we're going to cover that today. And obviously we'll also talk about shout outs like the drive which we did last week with reference to giving out donations to the families who came. Over 140 families came out to collect provisions from the International Institute last Saturday. And then we'll obviously be open to questions and answers. So, but first we'll begin with our weekly update. And I'm going to turn this over to our Senior Vice President here at the International Institute, Blake Hamilton, for our weekly update.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks again for joining us on our 22nd call. The update for this week really is centered on the trends that we're seeing with arrivals and the updates that we've got from our federal partners. So today, as of this week, we really only have one case scheduled to arrive this week, which is a marked difference, right, from weeks past. Well, we have seen closer to 40 in the recent weeks, closer to 30 and the mid-20s. This week is very low, and that's as expected. As we've been hearing, the APA program is wrapping down, and Afghan parolees are off the bases as of the 19th of February. All Afghan parolees are off of domestic military bases. And in the month of March, you'll see more arrivals coming from overseas. And what we are hearing now from our federal partners is some of these folks will be arriving as parolees and others will be arriving as SIVs, or special immigrant visa holders. And these are folks that have been vetted and gone through the SIV process, they initiated that process likely long before the evacuation of Kabul last fall. And those folks will be getting resettled here in this next phase, which will be between March and the end of June. So with one arrival this week, we were really focused on looking ahead and how this might change going forward. And we received a request from our national partner, USCRI, late last week to provide a revised capacity statement for how many additional Afghan parolee clients that we might be able to resettle here between February, between the end of February, March, effectively through September. And looking at our capacity that has been built over the course of the last several months through these meetings, partnerships, volunteers, donations that have come through the woodwork, we are letting our federal partners know that our capacity for new arrivals is an additional 790 through the end of the federal fiscal year. Now, that is a number that we're not likely to see. Because the total number of folks that will be coming through this program between, which they expect to really take place between March and the end of June, is about between 3,500 and 5,000 APA cases in total, right? So we see approximately 1% of all of these arrivals are coming to St. Louis. And so our number of 790 is significantly higher, right, than the 1% we might expect to see over that period of time. So we are expecting much closer to a 10 or maybe even 15 arrivals coming as APA cases on a monthly basis between March and the end of June. But while APA arrivals will be going down, they are expecting to see refugee arrivals increasing over this period of time. And so the expectation is that 2,000 folks will be resettled on a monthly basis through the resettlement program nationwide per month from March through September. Now, they do expect that refugee resettlement will start slow, and in March and April, that number could be closer to 300 or 400 arrivals on a monthly basis. But they are expecting to ramp up capacity fairly quickly to get to that 2,000 number on a monthly basis nationally. And they expect that about half of those folks will be arriving from Afghanistan, and the other half from a myriad other countries who are hosting refugees at present. Predominantly, we expect folks arriving from the Congo, most likely. So we do have, looking ahead, we're expecting closer to 30 or 40 refugee arrivals plus APA cases, APA arrivals, I should say, on a monthly basis going forward, really beginning again in March. Now, February has by no means been a slow month for us. In fact, February has tracked to be actually a little bit bigger than January when looking back. But we do know that what lies ahead more than likely is a lighter month, certainly in March, before seeing cases again rebound in the later part of the month of March, and really kind of stay steady then through the end of the federal fiscal year. So moving on then to housing, we have seen a lot of folks moving out of the hotels recently. And again, that is because of the continued efforts of this group and others who have been connecting our housing coordinators to housing opportunities. We last week saw 14 cases actually move out of the hotels, which is 43 individuals out, which is really fantastic. And I want to give all credit to our team that's been working that, our resettlement team, our command center team, our housing team, our corporate team working with our volunteers to support those efforts of getting people out of the hotels and into housing. It's really been an incredible push. We are going to see that continue. We have 2 cases of 11 actually moving out of the hotels this week. Are very, very pleased to see that we've been able to secure housing for these very large cases who will be moving out into the community later this week. We're hopeful that we'll be able to have a few more, but with the storm system coming in, that might hamper efforts to get folks into housing in the later end of this week. I did want to point out that of the 14 cases that moved out of the hotels last week, 4 of those cases actually out-migrated. And we are seeing requests for out-migration. Out-migration is when folks arrive or are placed in one city, and they make a request to be transferred to another location, maybe to be reunited with family members. And it's no surprise, Texas and California are seeing the bulk of requests for out-migration. But a major challenge with that right now is the fact that Texas and California are really not accepting transfer cases. So what that means is folks are using their 90-day stipend here locally in St. Louis and effectively transferring out of the region without those additional resettlement funds to support them. They won't be able to access that same pot of funds in another state. And so we work very diligently with other agencies to ensure where available that those cases that are transferring out of our region have that money follow them to support those cases in the resettlement elsewhere. But when places that are oversubscribed, like California, Texas, and even Virginia, get cases that say they want to transfer there, it's likely that those resettlement agencies in those areas say, we don't have the capacity to do that. We don't have the capacity to serve, in which case then the amount is expended here locally. So if you're working or hear about folks that want to move or say that they want to go be reunited with families elsewhere, it is really important for those folks to connect with us, that we can help transfer those cases to other cities if that is truly their desire, and ensure that the finances are following those folks to those locations where possible. Of course, we want to be a destination. And so while we've had out-migration from the region, we've also had in-migration. With cases being transferred from other parts of the state and other regions coming to St. Louis. And we always tell people, Missouri is open for this. And when we're working with our clients who say that they have family members elsewhere, the first option is, well, how about, can your family members come here and join you here, in St. Louis? That is what we are trying to build here. And often that means trying to make arrangements for housing for folks that are not on our caseload, right? And trying to manage connecting to housing to show people that there are opportunities not just for themselves, those folks that have been resettled here, but for their families elsewhere to come to St. Louis and put down roots here. So we can always use the community's help in getting these messages out and letting folks know that, yes, we are accepting transfers into St. Louis. And yes, where somebody does make an ultimate choice to move away from the region, we want to help where we can in those cases too. And as always, I've included the contact information for our housing coordinators, Galib and Abdul, on the slide here, and we appreciate any additional leads in housing that anybody might be able to connect us to. I also want to point to our additional job openings. We still have quite a few job openings through our website, and could really use your help in amplifying those postings in your spaces and through your networks on social media and elsewhere. If you could link to those or otherwise draw some more attention to them. We have some very key positions that we need to get filled in order to move through this next phase of those folks that are here and continue to welcome folks to our community. And so with that, I will thank you all for your time and attention. And before we move on to our next section, I want to say that we are very excited to have with us today Amy Pushkash, who will talk to us a little bit more about the education department and the programs and services available through there. The education department has long been really an anchor set of programming that we have here at the Institute. Going back to the earliest days of the agency, more than 100 years ago, English language learning was a critical component of what we've done and has always been a part of what we do at the agency, and is very much at the center of what we do. And so we've brought on Amy to talk to us a bit more about the activities that have been taking place in that program to support the new arrivals, as well as the general services that we do have available. So without further ado, I present to you, Amy. Thank you.
Thank you, Blake. Again, my name is Amy Pushkash. I'm the Education Program Manager at the International Institute in the Education Department. So that means I manage the English and the citizenship classes. So I'm going to, as Blake said, I'm going to talk to you today about how we are coming alongside the Afghan community to support them and continue to encourage them to learn English as well as connect to St. Louis. One of the ways we've been doing this, the first step we have for our classes is that they have to register and be assessed. The assessment that we use is the CASAS reading test. So that is what we give to try to figure out the level of English that each student has or each client has. Because there have been so many placed in the hotels for extended periods of times, we've gone out to the hotels to start this preliminary process of registration and assessment for English classes. We've gone there 9 times since November 29th. And during those 9 times, we've tested 68 adults at the hotels. And another 97 have come to the Institute to be tested and entered into classes. So we've already attested 165 people to this point as of yesterday. This is double the amount that we reported back in December 22nd. So these assessments also help with workforce solutions and helping them determine jobs for them that would be appropriate to their English level. And we discovered a lot of things along the way as we did these assessments with clients. So what did we find out? Well, you can see here on this slide some of their student performance levels. We have 43% testing at the literacy level, which means that they have little to no reading experience. We've got 13% at low beginning, 18% at high beginning, 14% at low intermediate, 8% at high intermediate, and only 1% at level 6 advanced, but that's because most of them are not presenting to test. They're getting jobs right away, and so we haven't seen so many of them. As I've talked to people at this level, a lot of them already have advanced degrees from their country. And so now they're looking at getting an advanced degree in the United States. So they're wanting to get their family settled, get their jobs settled, and then pursue that like in the next year or so. This is what they're telling me. So if you look at these numbers, you can see we have a high number at the literacy level and beginning level. So I wanted to address, why are there so many testing at this literacy level? It's first of all, it's not unusual for new arrival refugees to have a higher number of literacy and beginning level students, but the 43% is pretty high. And so there's multiple challenges that they're experiencing as they come in. Again, I want to just emphasize before we move to the next slide that we only tested in reading. We did not test in speaking, listening, or writing skills. So that would look a little bit different than what we're seeing here on the reading test scores. Okay, I'm ready for the next slide, please. Okay, so on this slide, you can see I've given some examples of Dari and Pashto writing. And they say thank you. They both say thank you. So but you can see that for the Dari and the Pashto, you're starting from the right and moving to the left, which is opposite of how English speakers and readers do this. So, and the writing is just very different. Even if I'm looking at this and I know they say thank you, I'm not really sure how I would pronounce this just by looking at it unless I was taught explicitly how to do this. So when you look at these challenges, it's really a brain twist to then start reading from the opposite side and looking at the different characters. It's quite a change in your thinking and processing. The bigger the difference, the greater the difference between the lexicon, the writing between languages makes it more difficult to learn. Additionally, there's about 13% of this population, of the Afghan population, that has not had any schooling at all. So that also means that they might speak multiple languages, but they didn't learn to read and write in any of those languages. Again, that's a challenge because they're learning to write for the first time in English. So initially, to start off with classes, we offered a literacy class, And so here's our current classes that we have and how many have attended these classes. So we have a literacy class that meets in person and also has an online component. So they can do one or the other. And then we have a beginning transitions and advanced transitions class. So the literacy class and beginning transitions have been graciously funded by Marillac Mission Fund. And so you can see we've already served 78 students through those classes. The transitions classes are a little bit different because what they're trying to do is it's a 4-week class that transitions the learner into a longer term English class in the community. So it's meant to be short term. The literacy class is a longer term class to help address some of those low literacy needs that I mentioned earlier. So we're recognizing that there are more needs and hearing back from clients that we have several classes that we are going to be starting in the next month. And so here are those. We've got Computer Lab that started today. And so many clients have told us that they were interested in learning how to use a computer, how to learn how to use Microsoft programs like to save a document or something like this. And so as of today, we opened up access to them so that they can have access to computers and learn typing and these kinds of things, learn from Rosetta Stone and other programs that we have on the computers there. And then in a few weeks, we'll launch a class that will teach them how to do some of these things in response to that request. We also have a multi-level English class that will be starting next week. And this is for that beginning level that maybe they're not quite ready to transition into an English class. It provides more survival skills like the transitions classes do. The transitions classes provide predominantly survival skills. So, but the multi-level will continue on with that a little more in depth of survival skills. We're also very excited to be addressing the literacy needs with our new literacy tutorial program. This program is going to use trained and supervised volunteers to teach literacy to those that need it and help them improve in that. So this will serve 2 different groups. One will be the group that's already in the literacy class that's learning to write for the first time. So those students will be able to access more time to learn how to write. That's on a one-on-one basis. And the other group are those that speak very well in English, but maybe they don't know how to read or write very well in English. I've had many clients come to me and express that they have that need. And so this literacy tutorial will help them and support them in gaining literacy skills. For the more advanced English learner, we offer a Bridge to College class. As I mentioned before, there are many that are interested in going to college. And this class is really focused on reading and writing academically. So that's the focus here, is to encourage them how to understand how the US standards are for reading and writing academic. So that's that one starting in March 14th. We've had people ask us about our programs, how if men and women will study together in a classroom, if that's been an issue. And I haven't seen it as a big issue. I have seen that in the advanced class, that's predominantly men in that class. And in the literacy in person is predominantly women. So, predominantly men in that class as well. And the women in the literacy, the lowest level class, are mostly doing the online study because they have young children at home, or there's some other barriers that are keeping them from getting to class. But in the beginning level class, it's a 50-50 mix. And it seems like everyone is okay with having that mixture in there. I will say that recently, those that have a little more advanced English have asked if they can take classes with their spouse, which sometimes is possible, but sometimes is a challenge because they have different levels of English. So we are hearing more requests like that. But one of the ways we want to encourage women is by offering a women's class on Saturdays with childcare. And the childcare is provided by MICDS. And so we're so grateful for them stepping up and helping us with that so that we can provide this class for women. And it's for all level of English. Another thing that we have heard from clients from the very beginning is that they wanted to connect more with St. Louis to get to know the area. And so we are restarting the Discover St. Louis field trips that we had done a long time ago and are happy to offer again. So what this does is we have a class and they learn about areas in St. Louis, like the Arch or the zoo, the courthouse, Powell Hall, for example. And then they go to those places as a family. It's a family activity that they do as a field trip. So we'll have some limitations on how many people we can take with us, but this is definitely in response to clients' requests and to help them feel more settled in St. Louis and connected to St. Louis. I also wanted to take this opportunity to thank all of our partners and volunteers that have brought people to the Institute to help them to register for classes. We know that that's been a challenge for some of them to get to the Institute, which is why we had gone to the hotels as well. And we just really appreciate how that encouragement from the volunteers and partners for them to continue their education here in the US. So this concludes my report from the Education Department. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Amy, for that presentation, which gives a sense of the work that's being done to assess and prepare our new arrivals for their journey into being integrated into this community. And I don't see any questions with reference to the presentation. But if there are any questions, we'll eventually come to that. In the meantime, I'm going to turn this over. I'm not too sure Kelly is there, but we're going to go on to the next item on our agenda, which is essentially our shout outs. Is Kelly?
Hi, Ray, I'm here.
Oh, okay, Kelly, please.
I am in the command center.
That's why I couldn't see you.
That's good because I was eating my lunch, so I'm glad you couldn't see me.
Bon appetit.
Good afternoon, community members, staff members, volunteers. Good afternoon, St. Louisans, regional people, not even St. Louisans. Maybe we have national people on here. Right. I am so excited to be here today. I love that we do watch parties. So anyone who wants to come to the International Institute and sit in our command center during these meetings, you're welcome. Opportunities for support. We are so excited, or at least I am excited to have on the calendar an International Women's Day. We know that this day is celebrated throughout the world, not so much in America, but of the years that I've been working here, it's always been celebrated in little ways. My Bosnian coworkers will bring me a flower. My Hispanic coworkers mention it. So it's really great that we're celebrating it on a larger scale this year, and we are going to have a reception. We've repeated this information, so I'm not going to get into the details, but please RSVP, please come to see us. And most importantly, please come and see Bill Perry's art. It's amazing. It's 26 women from our region who have life-size paintings of them. And those women will be honored by, they will be able to take the painting home at 7 o'clock. So the event is from 5 to 7, March 8th, International Women's Day. And I would like to just say, we're going to have the theme of Break the Bias. And it's going to be a great program. Community partner and organization shout outs, my favorite part of this call. Thank you to House of Goods. Thank you to Little Angels Foundation. Those two organizations have supported us through the thick and thin, and they've been providing meals consistently for at least, how many months, Carlos? A few months. So thank you for them for doing that again this past week. Soccer Saturdays. This is an amazing program. All of our programs are amazing, but I know I'm biased. This has happened for 2 weeks. If you love soccer and you love Football Club STL, please join us. This happens every 2 weeks, every Saturday from 4 to 6 p.m. I happen to be an actual real soccer mom, but I am looking for somebody else to take that role for this program. Moji has been hired on. She's working diligently. We have 2 staff members who have been there every Saturday so far. So that's one sort of specific need we have. But if you love soccer or love children, this would be a great opportunity for you. In-kind donation events start. So St. Louis teens aiding refugees today. They have been phenomenal this past week. They have committed to helping with the soccer Saturdays. And then they committed to helping us with a distribution event that we had on February 19th. Thank you to our partners. I believe Welcome Neighbor, Christian Friends of New Americans. Who else? And all of our community
Oasis
partners
International.
who've been on the calls, they were helpful in spreading out the word about this event. So Oasis International as well. We made it happen. We distributed over 158 boxes, I want to say. That means 158 families received donations. Yay! I'm really proud of us. It was an amazing day. I think in total I worked 14, 16 hours that day. I don't remember the total, but it was not work because I was with family and friends. Honestly, I loved the day. You all know I have some passion around the work that we do. So that was amazing. Thank you. That really was a team effort. That really, really was a team effort. And today, as we speak, as we're having this meeting today, Christian Friends of New Americans are currently distributing coats and shoes to our friends in the hotels. So there's one more shout out that I didn't get on the list, and I will put it on for next week, but we had a sorority, an African-American sorority that I am escaping the name.
Yes.
Alpha.
They came this past week and donated all brand new items, things that we desperately needed, like
They were
toilet
deltas.
bowl cleaners. What is it?
They were deltas.
The Deltas.
Mhm.
They are the St. Louis alumni group, and these women, we had a really great time. We had a mini photo shoot in the gym. It was amazing. So I want to shout out to those women of St. Louis. They donated all brand new items, needed items, the toilet bowl brushes, the lamps, just lots of things that we really need. And they also contributed Visa and Walmart and all the gift cards that I don't have a total for, but we are making the dream happen. So thank you, community members. If you want to support us continuously, which most of you have, we still have opportunities for support. So apartment setups continually to happen on a daily basis. Grocery shoppers are needed. This is the one, the third one on this list is the one that we need, but also I'm going to add bus trainers. Please do not be afraid to take a friend on the bus. If you know English, this job is easy. The key here is that you are helping our neighbors, our friends, our new Americans. You're helping them just navigate the bus system. I know there are a lot of St. Louisans who have never been on the bus, and that's okay. That might be an adventure for you. But you speak English and you can read the signs. So you won't get lost. We promise we'll make it completely easy for you. Please, we really desperately need bus trainers, and think about it as taking a friend on an adventure. Maybe we should call it adventure training.
Yeah.
We aren't getting very many people who want to do that kind of support, and if I didn't work here, I would sign up immediately because I like being on public transportation and I like pointing things out. So soccer Saturdays, we're looking for drivers, and then education.
Support the education department.
We are pushing, because COVID is still with us. We've had a lot of transitions, but it's wonderful to have students in the building. I'm just thrilled. I love walking through the halls and talking to the teachers and talking to students. So education programming is coming back in full force. Before COVID, this used to be a program that had over 300 or 400, Amy would know more, Amy's shaking her head, so I think I'm right, 300 to 400 volunteers weekly, Amy? Or monthly?
I would say monthly, monthly. Mhm.
So 400 monthly volunteers who were phenomenal, helping in our education programming. And it's so exciting. I really do mean this. It's really exciting to have people back in the building. So with people being back in the building, we need support. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have already signed up to volunteer and you have not heard from anybody, I'm sorry, but the update about that is soon, hopefully soon, we will have a new volunteer program manager, and that will be the first task I assign this person to help us recuperate some of the volunteer community members who've signed up but have not been contacted. So next on the list, grocery cards and quarters, grocery gift cards and quarters. So we all know we've been spending community support money from you all to hand out grocery cards, and quarters are essentially needed for laundry machines at hotels. So every help is essential. So even if you have one child who goes to a kindergarten class and gets 25 quarters, that's amazing. No donation is too small. So I said this on multiple calls, but if you want to get your children involved, go for it. Is there any more slides? Okay, so we're giving you the links. You would like to volunteer, please use that link. If you want to support our community support program, please email WAPA. And lastly, if you would like to donate to support our mission, please hit the donate button now.
No.
I mean, can you hit it now and will it work? I think it will. Okay, Array's laughing at me because clearly I'm not the tech person in the room. But thank you for your attention. Thank you for being with us today, even though it's supposed to snow.
Yeah.
And have a good Wednesday.
Well, thank you very much, Kelly, and I really want to thank everybody for being here. I don't know if there are any questions for Amy, for Kelly, for Blake, with reference to all the presentations that have been done here today. Great, seeing none, we would, I just wanted to, about 2 weeks ago, we did mention the Afghan Adjustment Act, and that there was really need for us as a community to support that act. We've been working with the U.S. Committee for Refugees and Immigration with reference to working with Senator Blunt's office to really push for that act, because all of this work that we're doing now would only make sense if these families are eventually allowed to to settle in the United States and process their green cards and all of that. Whilst we've welcomed them through the APA program, there's really no program that defines how they become permanent residents. And this Afghan Adjustment Act is really the way in which that we're hoping that will be done and will facilitate the task for everybody. We don't want to see our new neighbors repatriated after all what we've gone through. So we're going to share with you all a Google form that we're hoping that we'll get, organizations to just sign up. And the idea is to demonstrate to Senator Blunt's office. His office is very, very supportive of the program. But we just want to have our voice and have the community, this effort, a community effort being presented to him. So we're going to send out that link. I have a Google form link there, but that's going to be sent out at the end of this meeting as well to everybody. So just take a few minutes, read through the letter and sign it accordingly. So you have your organization joining the efforts. So thank you. I see a question from Negis. And this question is for you, Amy.
Yes, I see it. Thank you. She's asking if they can sign up for volunteer opportunities on the IISTL website, or if they should email me directly. So it's best to go through the website if you can, so that we can get the background checks. But I would like a heads up so that I can be sure to follow through on that with you to make sure that those get processed. Okay.
So Amy, would you mind putting your email there?
I would be glad to do that. Thank you.
So people can follow up with you. Any other questions? Seeing none, I'm going to give you back the 15 minutes of your time, which is always very valuable. And thank you for the continuous support. As I mentioned earlier in subsequent mails, we are going to move this meeting beginning March to bi-weekly meetings since arrivals have slowed down. So we will be meeting every 2 weeks, but we're going to put that on the calendar. So next week would be our last weekly meeting. And as we get into September, those meetings are going to be bi-weekly. So thank you very much and have a wonderful rest of your day. I know the weather is not looking good, so I wish everybody stays safe. Take care.